Okay, it's me, Maria, back with another video. Once again, I'm not appearing in this video, and I am featuring another coaster that I've made. And the title of this video, I think I'm going to name it Ego as an Excuse. And I was thinking, and I've been thinking about this since it occurred. I was working in a job in Chatsworth, and this is before I realized, about my stalker and all of this issues that went on. But, my boss, female boss, would treat me in a way that kind of indicated that she had nothing but disdain for me for no apparent reason. Like I said, these issues would come up overnight, and almost as if my family was enacting out their rage through my employer. But she came in my office one day and just kind of went off on me. She shut the door and basically told me I needed to watch it, and it was over something that was just really, really small. And I was startled and I was shocked because, I was a single parent. I was driving to work every day, commuting to work to get to work on time, and I was just shocked. And when I asked her, I said, well, what did I do wrong? And her response was that, oh, it was just my ego. It was just my ego. And, I thought, wow, isn't it interesting that if you have a big ego, you can feel justified just blasting off on somebody for no apparent reason, and you can give that as an excuse, and you can just walk off, and that's the end of the deal, and you don't care about the damage that it does to anybody. But, even though it was wrong for her to come up with that response, the only thing I can say is at least her response was honest. Okay, I think a lot of times when people, business owners or people who are in positions of management, people tend to abuse their authority. They do a lot, and then they will try to find reasons to justify their hatred, their disdain, their improper behavior through other means. Like, in this case, instead of some people wanting to admit that they have an issue with my race, they want to focus on religion, and the fact that their religious view is incorrect, then that's not good enough, so they'll try to find some other excuse like, well, your last name's not whatever. And, when you really get down to it, everybody's excuse is really ego. Okay, it's natural sometimes for us to think a little bit more than we should of ourselves. But this is one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons why I believe personality testing is important for management positions, because you want to make sure that people's behavior is not going to interfere with the morale of the employees, and how, like I said, it sets a very bad tone for that. So in my case right now, I'm thinking about my job search, and I need to contact some employers. And, when I call and follow up on my job applications, I'm not trying to stir the pot. My intent is to simply get back to work. This is not, and the reason why I'm getting so much negative responses from people and being treated this way, even though I don't have to say that I'm 100% innocent. It's already proven. It's already proven. But the reason why I'm getting treated this way is because people need to come to the realization that this has to do with their ego. Okay, I think for some people it's very difficult for them to feel as though they're wrong about something. I don't think it should have to be that way. I mean, can it just be that I'm going to be honest here. I don't know how anybody in any of your positions could not know what I'm already telling you, especially when some of you guys have your degrees. Like I've already said this, okay? But I'm trying to move on. But my point is that it bothers some people that I may not have as much education as they do, and yet I am correcting their behavior. That could affect some people's ego, okay? But still, it's your responsibility as an employer to let your ego go aside and not discriminate against people based on things that are against the law, So, I have to follow up on resumes. I have to follow up on my job search. It's a part of showing that you're active. You're actively looking, and I will say that I have lost steam because of the illegal practices, and I'm not sure what I'm going into when I have job interviews. Am I going in and being taken seriously, or am I being basically just brought in for harassment? And that's a big concern of mine. And I don't want to show that, but after so many times, it does become a lot like the whole Pavlov's dog, where, you know, the dog hears bringing so many times that it immediately starts to salivate. The same thing with me. Now that every time I go to a job interview, my natural response is to be a little bit terrified, because a lot of people don't realize that what they're doing is they're sending a message, and it's very threatening to my life, okay? So what's going on with me right now is I'm thinking about all the issues that have occurred in my gang stalking, in my workplace mobbings, and it makes sense now. But I do know that the core of it has to do with the ego. It has to do with the ego and people having to deal with the fact that they're wrong. And a lot of people, when they get explosive, that is a part of the mobbing process. I call it the last phase of the mobbing process, when it cannot be denied any longer that there has been an injustice, and there has indeed been an injustice, and instead of trying to cooperate, it's almost like a natural response for them to let off steam. When I was working for the employer that I was talking about, the original perpetrator, and the one that I think is very corrupt, him and his wife, I'm not going to go into the names, when it became very obvious, I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but I knew that he was instigating this issue in the workplace, and he was creating all the problems, the drama. He was egging it on. When I confronted him in a way that he couldn't deny it, he became explosive. And I've noticed that has been the case with all the other employers. If I even mentioned that I slightly knew, they would become explosive. It is a part, I think it's a natural chain event of people's behavior. Once again, it's a form of them trying to protect their ego. You know what? Put your ego aside for a second, okay? Realize that this is a very important issue. I have already been inconvenienced enough. I have demonstrated in every way that I'm a person who values hard work. I have looked for work for a very long time. Some of you people I've contacted multiple times for jobs. I've sent my resume. And then some people might be receiving my resume and then making a decision to not forward my resume. Some of these people created issues that relate to my reputation, like, for example, the girl and the man who accused me of being Muslim. They have dirtied my reputation. Well, it's their responsibility to undirty it. It is their responsibility to set it straight. I hope that some of these videos that I put out, and I'm not getting a lot of hits, but I'm hoping that some of these videos I'm putting out is clearing up these misconceptions, okay? Because these kind of smears are very serious. And my point is going back to the ego issue, is that's one of the reasons why I think personality tests, in my opinion, are also important. I mean, personality tests are used by some companies to evaluate other issues as well, but I think people whose egos get a little out of control can be very dangerous. And in this case, there's a lot of egos that are out of control. A lot of egos. And I'm feeling the result of it. I am basically shouldering the burden for nothing. And that's what I'm frustrated about. And I think I've handled this the best way I possibly could. This should have been given national news attention. And I tried to get that attention. I called up the local news station here, and I was given the runaround. And, you know, this really is that serious of an issue, okay? I am sitting here without a job. I'm sitting here without an income, okay? I started that phony job that I was assigned by the collective, and I went. That was the beginning of January. The job fell apart in the same day, and I'm kind of relieved that it did, because I would have never excelled in a job like that. And, you know, I'm out of work 2 months. And the girl who created this issue, the girl who accused me of being Muslim, is gainfully employed, as well as the man who terminated me just because I suspect Polly made a phone call and said that, you know what, I think that you're making too much money. None of your business, Polly. So my point is that there's a lot of things that are going on that should not have gone on, and it should not reflect in any way, shape, or form on me. Now, like I said, I lied about my race many years ago, and you know what? my husband has been very, very forgiving about it. He's never scolded me over it, but yet I'm sitting here getting punished by a bunch of people who don't even know me. So once again, we're dealing with ego here. Does it bother you that I said something like that? Does it make you feel threatened? And if it did, and if your response is to react based on your ego, well, let me tell you something. There's plenty of examples in history where people's ego got in the way and tragedies occurred. And these people are usually known as, we don't want to use the word racist here, but that's pretty much in the result of it. So there's a lot of lynchings that took place. There's a lot of people who ended up losing their lives over this issue. And sometimes because you can't lynch somebody, sometimes it's easier to shut them out of employment. Now, I'm not trying to stir the racial pot. That's the last thing I want to do. But I want you to ask yourself, hey, is my ego in the way? I'm asking this question because when I submit a resume to you, I expect it to be forwarded. When I follow up on a job application, I expect people to answer or return my phone calls, okay? And be honest about it. You know, I haven't, you know, and that's how you build credibility. That's how you say, when companies use this expression about being, not expression, but they use statements like, you know, our company is built on integrity. People need to know what they mean when they say it. It has to have some sort of meaning. And, you know, some people might think, well, you're harping on this situation a little too much, Maria. Well, I'm going to tell you what. When you've gone through this whole situation where you're going into job interviews and you're being called in to be harassed over and over again, it's much like the olden days in the South when you go out to your front yard and there's a cross burning on it. Now, you might think, oh, okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. That's how I feel. It's that disturbing. It is that disturbing. And this is not a lie. It is not exaggeration. These videos are very cleansing for me, and it's a form of therapy because I can't talk about this subject enough. I am literally driving my poor husband crazy. He is tired of hearing it, but he puts up with it because he knows I have no one else to vent it to. It is a very serious issue, and that's why we have employment laws. That's exactly why. And so where the ego comes in it, if your response is, or your reaction to what I'm saying is, well, you know what, it's just that, you know, she's right, you know, and it pisses you off a little bit. Think about what that really means, okay? I'm not trying to be right to win an argument. I'm simply trying to prove a point so that I can have a job and live. Okay, to have the basic necessities of life that many of you take for granted, okay, and I'm not trying to cut you down, but the very fact that I'm in this situation is a result of many people's administrative errors and ignorance. So, reevaluate your egos, okay, and as for that former boss who told me the truth and was just being honest, I have thought about your comment over the years, off and on, and I do appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty for at least coming out and telling the truth. Because a lot of people are in denial of what they really feel. They want to sit there and blame it on any other external factor but themselves, okay? It is nobody's fault. It isn't. I mean, my fault is I lied about my race many years ago. That's between me and my husband, okay? Nobody else has the right. I'm over 18 years old. My family has no right to make decisions for me. Polly Graham, my husband's family, has no right to make any decisions for me. They have no right. Okay, and I don't know much about my husband's family. I met them a few times. They were rude when I first met them, so I just figured, okay, you don't like me and I can move on. I don't have to be your best friend. I don't have to. Ideally, we want families to merge together. We want everyone to like each other. That's wonderful. But you know what? I'm used to people being that way. And I don't force myself on people, and I accept it. So I just want to get on with my life, okay? I don't mind throwing her name out there either, okay? Because she seemed very flippant when I was trying to talk to her and resolve this issue. I didn't appreciate it, okay? I really didn't. And I would sit there, and I can name my siblings' names, too, if I feel like it. I can do whatever I want to. You know, I'm not going to put up with this situation. I'm getting to the point where I'm terrified. And I shouldn't have to be terrified. Okay, there's people, I'm out of work when I don't deserve to be. And so, because of egos. So, yeah, evaluate your ego and learn from this mistake. if you hear from me, if I'm making a phone call, hey, you got to work with me because you know what? I need help looking for work. I can't be on my own island. It's not fair. It's illegal, and, I have asked for someone to intervene. I'm not going to mention the person to intervene, but I've asked for people to intervene, stop this mess, okay? Because you're basically proving the point. Every time I go into a job interview and I'm getting screwed with, or I don't get a phone call back from an employer, you're showing me over and over and over again that the harassment is continuing. I didn't ask to be harassed. And if you're harassing me, I want you to know why you're harassing me. Because it's either based on my race, my religion, or my marital status. Okay? Any of those things are against the law. And as you in the position that you're in, you should know better. Okay? So think of this as a form of philanthropy that I'm giving you. I'm telling you basically my experience, and my experience based off of your mistake, your serious mistake, okay? So this message goes out to my family as well as my husband's mother. Hey, whatever you did, you need to fix it, okay? You need to work night and day until you get this fixed, okay? I don't care what you have to do. If you have to pull strings and arrange another job for me, I'll take it, but it needs to be in my field, and it needs to stop. You need to stop interfering with my life. You need to stop creating these hostile environments. It gets to be too much, okay? I don't have to justify myself to anybody. I don't have to live up to anybody's standards. I am 18 years old, and if you want to talk about standards, my standards are far more superior than my family, my siblings, okay? I would never have done what you did to me. Remember that. Okay, so anyway, wrapping up this video, check your egos, people, okay? And remember, follow the law, because the law is what's going to save you. It's what makes your company reputable. It's what keeps you out of hot water. And it keeps your conscience clear. So anyway, check your egos and keep thinking about the law, and help me get back to work, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.